meeting is being recorded.
Peace, peace. Welcome to another episode of Wise the Dome. Today I have another very special guest. He's a great thinker, a man that has traveled through many schools of thought and always has a jewel to share for the people. Sheik Denim L, I appreciate you for coming through, G.
Oh, thank you, brother. First of all, I like to say peace to the gods and the earths. It's your show, brother.
Indeed,
I like to give you honors again for doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very necessary that the legacy continues, the legacy of true Asiatic journalism, of true Asiatic, you know what I'm saying, correspondence, social commentary. It's a very necessary thing because within that paradigm, there are lessons to be learned. There are problems to be solved. You know what I mean? And this is where great minds meet. You understand what I mean?
Indeed.
We spend a lot of time worshiping personalities outside of ourselves, looking at the quote unquote, what we call the stars or whatever. But you know, the only star that I deal with or that I give any respect to is the stars that sit in the celestial sky. So I don't see other men as stars.
Right.
I don't celebrate, personalities, but I celebrate truth.
Indeed.
And again, I'm honored to be here, brother. Thank you.
Man, it's an honor to have you on. And so, yeah, I want to hop right to it, God.
Sure.
So who was Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and what did he bring Black people in the wilderness, or original people in the wilderness in North America?
First of all, I like to say that's a great question. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was born amongst the people that he came to redeem, January 8th, 1886, in the state of North Carolina. What we call today, what they call Salem, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, somewhere in that area. And what he did was he reminded us. First of all, he's a divine reminder to me. He's a divine reminder because some things that were stripped away from us through the process of slavery, what we call that institute, the peculiar institution they termed it, because it was so different, so unlike any other form of slavery, they had to call it peculiar. It was eccentric, it was weird. Why was it weird? Because it did something that no other slavery had done. It stripped the free national name or the nationality and the creed from a people. Unlike in other forms of slavery, when you study slavery, all they did was they took people from warfare, they took them from the losing side and put them to work on the side of the winners with their skill set, be it they were blacksmiths, so on and so forth. They put them to work on the other side, and yet they maintained their national origin. They maintained the right to do certain, to believe in their gods or whatever. But unlike our situation, that was stripped away. So therefore, every man and woman on the planet Earth has a national name or nationality. I remember one day a Muslim brother said to me, brother, nationality ain't important. Just be a Muslim. That's more important than anything. And my thing was, if that's the case, if we go to Surah 49:13 of the Holy Quran, it talks about, for verily I have made you into nations and tribes so that you would know one another. Therefore, nationality comes from Allah Ta'ala because he made nations and tribes. So therefore, what was the nationality? Our nationality was stripped. Now, here's the interesting thing. By 1865, the Emancipation Proclamation, and because of the guise of slavery, you have a new nation inside of a nation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Raising itself, right? So the prophet was sent back as a sign of mercy for us to place us back in the affairs of the human family because, quote unquote, now mind you, names that delude to slavery, Black, colored, Negro, Afro-American, African-American, we've had many names throughout the decades, you know what I'm saying? And those names are not names, they're nothing to identify by. Of course, we know them as adjectives, characteristic, descriptives, and things of that nature. Now, here's the conundrum though. People say, well, brother, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know the science of Black. Indeed, I do. And I respect and honor the science of Black, but not on a national body. The universal understanding of Black being the triple, all that's right and exact. But on a human being, I just can't do it because I feel sorry for crayons, because we're appropriating crayons. We talk about literal Crayolas, the crayons. You know what I'm saying? They feel the little red crayon and the white, the little crayons. We appropriating them. You understand what I'm saying? I don't knock how another person identifies themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's for that individual. My job and what the prophet did was he brought you back the free national name and the divine creed, which is Islam, what he called the old time religion, that which predated Prophet Muhammad, that which came before what we call Islam. You understand? And that was a composition of ancient sciences of India, Kemet, and Palestine, or what we would call Canaan, and so on and so forth. So he combined these sources and pulled these things out and brought it unto us for our particular remedy, because you know every prophet brings a remedy. The sickness in every nation has a different sickness than other nations. So that remedy is going to be specifically built for that particular people. So the prophet came back and he brought his nationality and divine creed, formed the Moorish Science Temple of America in 1913, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. He did. There's much more to to talk about, but pretty much in a nutshell, he's a prophet. Why is he a prophet? Because he returned to us that which was lost, that which was forgotten, and for us, he is a prophet because every nation will get a messenger.
Right. And I wanted to ask you this, because whenever we think of religion, right, a lot of times we think of it in the confines of whatever that religious institution is, whether it be a church, mosque, synagogue, or just whatever, right? But actually, it permeates throughout the community. Now, in Chicago, didn't Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moors help get one of the first Black politicians elected back in the day?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes. Oh, I can't remember the brother's name right now. And I say
it was something the priest.
Yep, Oscar the Priest.
Oscar the Priest, yeah.
Oscar the Priest. Also, there was another brother as well. He got aldermen and politics was a strong thing. You know what I'm saying? The prophet was showing the power in numbers and showing the power of nationality. You know what I'm saying? And how it can open doors and how it can work. The thing is that government of that time, it ain't the same government today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't even respect the Constitution today. They're trying to get rid of it.
Right.
As we speak.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, he definitely he was very much into the political movements in the political aspect, period, because the Moorish Science Temple of America, there's also what we would call a political side. It was called the Moorish Divine National Movement. So the Moorish Divine National Movement is the national side. You know what I'm saying? And then you have the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is the religious side. You know what I'm saying? So you have a jural society and a religious society built on the religious corporation laws of 1872. Right. This is how the prophet was able to establish the Moorish Science Temple of America. And then that the way he broke that down and the way he did it was basically emulated by the Vatican.
Right. Well, and the reason I asked that is because being able, especially back then, let me find the date real quick, but just to be right and exact. But especially during that time, to be able to galvanize the community that way in a time that is overtly racist, right?
Indeed.
And be able
without internet.
Right, without internet
without TV. Right.
Original people elected into office, would you consider that revolutionary?
Indeed, I would. Indeed. Definitely, brother. A lot of things. See, people like, I'm fair across the board because I love my people regardless. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, just because I proclaim nationality does not separate me from you. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what people may say or whatever, I'm not special. You know what I'm saying? I'm still, if the cops come for you, they're gonna come for me too. There's no, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's definitely revolutionary. And there was a lot of things that was done to me for us in those times that was revolutionary. That wasn't necessarily done by Islam. We have revolutionary Christian brothers and sisters too. From different other schools, you know what I'm saying? So we have to take into consideration all those things because these are the compositions of who we are. I said this to a brother the other day. The reason Asiatic people on these shores will never have the perfect unity that they want, we're not the same people. We are not the same people. We have the same experience. We have some of the same blood, but the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it best too. He said the Asiatics here in North America have the blood of every nation running through their vein, which brings about a cross spirit. It's true.
Mhm.
We have mixtures of all types of different things running through us. You know what I'm saying? Which brings about why some of us move towards Islam and those sciences, why some of us move towards, you know what I'm saying, Christianity and other things. It's just, we're not the same people.
And during the, I mean, during the, I was just reading a book that was kind of talking about something similar today, where during the slave trade, they were I mean, you would have, let's say in the beginning of the slave trade, especially on that plantation, you would have people that might be Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, all mixed together, speaking a different
Facts.
language and
Facts.
have different customs and cultures. You know, I think sometimes we look at Africa and even the Native Americans of North and South America as if they were a monolith that all had the same ideas about
Yeah,
the world and
homogeneous, that they just
and
all,
but it's not like that.
no, not at all.
You know, I
Not
wanted
at
to
all.
ask you. I saw a bill. I saw a bill that you had, um, and it was speaking about the five divine principles.
Hmm.
If you can explain what those are and the science of what they mean.
Okay. The prophet talks about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Mhm.
The five highest divine principles known to man. These are virtues. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But these are also the names of Allah. See, Allah has 99 attributes. He
Mhm.
has not, you know what I'm saying? So these divine principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, these are the principles that man must become. We can't talk about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice without being the message that we bring. We have to embody these principles. So love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice are frequencies.
Mm.
Love, love, love is not what we think it is. Not, love is not what we've been taught it is.
Mhm.
Love is not holding hands, walking through the park, kissing your girl on the cheek. And you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's what I call having a high affinity towards your mate. You understand what I'm saying? An affection.
Mm.
Because you know what? Just as quick as you can get in it, you can get out of it.
Mhm.
And we do it often.
Right.
I see love as being a force. The
Mm.
force of love is that which will unite, it will destroy, it will bind, and it will create.
Right.
This is how I see the force of love. You understand what I'm saying? So when you
Mm.
think about Nat Turner, you see love. You understand? When you think about Harriet Tubman, you see in the science of love. When you think about Patrice Lumumba, you see in
Mm.
the science of love.
Mm. Right.
You
Right.
see in love. When you think about Huey, you see in love.
Right.
You see what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
love is not what we think. Love ain't that other mush. You know what I'm saying? We get
Mhm.
distracted by that.
Mhm. Right.
That's a
Right.
distraction. It's always said a true revolutionary can't be in love because there's it doesn't fit
Mhm.
revolution.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
So love, truth is that which can't pass away. It has always been.
Mm.
It doesn't change or pass away. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And we already know that peace is the absence of confusion, of all
Confusion.
confusion.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
freedom is that man or woman who is totally free, free with the knowledge of their descent nature and the knowledge of who they are,
Right.
spiritually, mentally, so on and so forth. Injustice is something that is demonstrated and given by Allah Ta'ala, but Allah speaks to man through man. So Allah uses his creation to speak to his creation. Injustice is also a reward or a penalty because each man is held accountable for his own ways and actions, as you know.
Right. Facts.
So we are the makers and the creators of our own heaven or hell
Mm.
because they're not physical places.
Right.
They're states of being.
States of beings. It's a condition.
It's a condition. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told you that you could have heaven at once
Mm-hmm.
as you speak.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can have hell. It's what man chooses or decides.
Mm.
But he has to know and understand. See, a lot of times we have a lot of hell going on because we don't understand that there's two selves. We don't
Right.
understand the science of the lower self. We
Right.
live in it all the time and don't understand it. And we will blame the
That's
condition of our lower self on external factors outside of us.
that's what I wanted to ask you next. You know, if you study Sufism or any type of mysticism, you know, they often speak of, even if it's different words being used conceptually, they speak of things such as a higher self and a lower self.
Indeed.
What does that whole science mean to you? And does us being here, because in 120 it talks about us being other than our own self.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think that us being here in the wilderness of North America under constant subjugation since we have been here has contributed to us being either other than our own selves or dealing in our lower selves?
I think when you're in your lower self, you are other than your own self.
Right.
And I believe that the environment is suited and designed, you know what I'm saying, to create such a place. You understand what I mean? So we are kind of like products of our environment, and the environment is a wicked place.
Right.
And if you're not aware of certain things, this is why knowledge of self is important. Because see, people think knowledge of self is learning information,
right?
Reading books, but true knowledge of self is the knowing and the understanding of you.
Right.
There's an authentic you, and then there's the other you that jumps in front of the authentic you. Let me give you an example of the authentic you. Some people call it the first instinct or intuition. You ever been in this? I'm gonna ask you, God, you ever been in this situation where you're doing something or you're going somewhere and something tells you don't do it? Yeah. But then the other you says, yo, but if you go down that street, such and such down there, shorty, she down there, you can pass by her crib and you can go and you can take the shortcut and make it to the blah blah blah. Right. And then when you do that, something happened, right?
Facts.
And what's the first thing you say?
I should have listened to my first mind.
That right there. The other you that was speaking was the illusion. That's this dude. See, the flesh has a nature.
Right.
Because man is not his body. He's using the body.
Right. Man is
you're using this vehicle, but this vehicle has a carnal nature that sprang forth from fleshy things. It has its own nature. Right. Right. That is in contradictory and in conflict with the authentic you. That's the science of God and the devil. You ever see the old movies or TV shows where an angel pop up on his shoulder and the devil pop up on his shoulder? Yeah. But don't the angel and the devil look like the person they're talking to? Yeah. Exactly. They're showing you the science of the higher and the lower self right through the telelive vision. But we taking it as entertainment and they giving you high sciences right through the telelive vision. Right.
That's you're right. Every time the little angel or the devil was on the character's shoulder, it would look just like the person it was talking to.
Facts.
Every time.
Facts.
Yeah, that's deep. The other day, I haven't gotten the book yet, but the other day, my brother sent me a book called he told me about it. It's called The Globalization of the American Psyche, Crazy Like Us, right? And it deals with the concept of the mental health issues that we have here in the wilderness of North America aren't like the rest of in a lot of places, especially where original people are, even dealing with less as far as economics is concerned. They don't have these mental health issues that we have here in America, which shows that this environment here is definitely one of the factors in what causes us to be other than our own self, and whenever you think about who we are and who we were meant to be, and even this idea, right, is in most families, mom and dad work, and because they have made it to where everything in this society is extremely expensive, and the rate of the cost of living goes up way faster than wages. And what it does is it leaves people very little time for their own self-development.
Indeed.
You
I
know,
totally agree.
being able to read, work out, just be quiet and be still. Like, we don't understand that the way we're living is not natural. So we're not going to be our best selves until we, like you said, get that knowledge of self and understand who we are, who we're supposed to be, and what this environment is actually doing to us.
In facts. And we have to also, transfer these lessons. When we building on certain things, we have to show the practical application of these things.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's, we can talk about all of the mysticism in the world. You know what I mean? But if we can't show the applications of how to tap into certain things, you know what I mean, then it's just a waste. I have daughters, I have children. So I showed my daughters some things, you know what I mean? Naturally, I did some things, and I made it rain. I did some other stuff.
Right.
Showed them the connection. You know what I'm saying, that we have, that we can talk and speak to the elements, and they reciprocate. You understand what I mean? Because everything is alive, and everything has a language. And some of the language is the way we do, the way certain things we may do with our hands, certain things we may do, stand, the way we may stand, the angle the words we say, or whatever. It's not the words that we're using, it's the vibration that the word creates.
Right.
And people like the words of power, but it's the sound.
The vibration.
Yeah, it's the sound, exactly. So when you think about our condition and you think about the environment, we have to begin to take the environment and make it our product, not become a product of it, but make the environment our product. Reverse the science, because see, that's what the European does. He's taken everything that we have and he's reversed it to his polarity.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you want to beat the European, do everything he do, just do it backwards.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Because everything he's doing is, for us original people, is counterculture to everything that we do.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to begin to identify as well. Do you really believe the things you believe, or are these beliefs things that were put on you at a certain age? You know what I'm saying? Have you examined your own belief system? Because honestly, brother, if we don't, we'll be stuck carrying that 7-year bag. And people always, what's the 7-year bag? The 7-year bag is this. From conception to the age of 7, everything you learn does not belong to you. It's from everything else around you. Parents, school, friends, aunts, uncles, infer beliefs from conversations you hearing as a child, playing with your Play-Doh, and you just hearing all these conversations, and it's hitting your subconscious, and it's, you know what I'm saying, and you're absorbing it without recognizing it or realizing it. And by the time you 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, you walking around in life and not really having any knowledge of who you are, because your whole system is built and based on those first 7 years of baggage.
Right.
Is money really the root of all evil? Why do you believe that? Well, my mom's told me. I used to hear her say it all the time. That's why I believe it, because my mother told me. But do you believe it though? You believe it now because you bought into it. That's why you're always broke. You should really ask yourself. Do I believe that money is the root of all evil? I know my mom's told me that, but is money really the root of all evil? Because damn, money's necessary. We need money.
Right.
Because by training yourself, money is linked to abundance and prosperity. So by you saying that money's the root of all evil, you just cut off any doorway to prosperity or abundance. You just cut it off. You just created hell.
Do you think that when it comes to so for somebody young, what advice would you give them as far as a lot of the things that we get here obviously are from tradition, whether it be religion, our ideas, you know, most of our concepts.
Indeed.
What advice would you give a young person who is out there seeking, who, you know, may be, because, you know, to be honest, depending on how old you are, it could be scary to venture out
Of course.
and start, you know, looking at other things. You know,
Of course.
what advice would you give them, you know, as far as taking that path and that journey of self-realization and finding answers for themselves?
I would tell them, first of all, that every human being, everybody has a journey. I mean, you came to the planet, being born and, you know, being put here is a journey in itself. You're here, you're going to go through age, you're going to grow, you're going to go through times, trials, tribulations, and so on and so forth. But in the process of self-realization, one of the best things that a youngster can do is to go on the quest. And the best way to quest is to begin to ask questions to yourself first. See, the first 5 letters in question is quest.
Right.
The journey. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you start the journey by questioning you first. Asking your own self. Well, now, you know, I'm 13, you know, for whatever, you know what I'm saying? What do I believe? Do I believe in God? Do I believe in religion? What is religion? You know what I'm saying? So you start asking, you start questioning yourself. Mm-hmm. And when you start questioning yourself, yourself is listening too.
Right.
The higher self.
Right.
Your God, the great I am that exists within thee, is listening as well. And it's going to guide you and begin to place people and things in your way that's going to begin to answer your questions.
You know, that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
It's 100% facts.
Right.
It's 100% truth. When you look at your own journey, brother, when you actually really started to you can actually go back and look and see in your journey when you really started to, when you really truly became a seeker. Because when you really truly became a seeker, what happened? People start popping up in your life.
Facts. And
certain types of people, not just anybody, but just people who you need, people who had the information that you were being, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was being put there.
Right.
That's how it worked.
Right. Real talk, because that is, and just thinking back on my path, it's still like that, actually.
Exactly.
I'm still meeting and building with people that are adding on to my understanding.
Indeed. In a master student, that will always happen to a master student. I'm a master student, brother. I'm not a master teacher.
Right.
People call me a master teacher,
but
I tell them quick, no, I'm a master student because I'm not done learning.
Right.
You understand? Learning. I learn from you, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Likewise.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not ashamed to say I learned from the youth. I want to know what y'all know. I want to know what you're thinking, because I may be able to add on to that thought.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? And give it some other, you know, give it something else that you can run with, because I'm 54 years old. I ran a lot. I'm still nice though. I mean, already.
I'm,
you know what I'm saying? But you know.
Nah, and that's another thing, God. Like, you can tell, like, I remember, like, you look like you look like a young man. You know, RZA said something in a song one time about, you know, like, it was referring to how the wicked begin to look old fast, right?
Indeed, facts.
And now that's real, right?
100%.
I want to kind of like ask you to add on to in a different way to the thought that we just had. I'm gonna throw this out here. When you're on that path, when you're on that journey, we know a lot of people fall into the trap of confirmation bias when they study, meaning they're only going to study things that confirm what they think they know.
Right.
Would you say it's important, whenever you're studying an idea, to study both sides of that idea?
Study, man. When you study, you should study something holistically. Don't cheat yourself because of your feelings. See, if you're a true seeker, you're gonna remove your emotions and your opinions and your feelings, because they don't matter when truth is on the scene. It don't matter.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's something every individual must wrestle with their own self. See, that's that's what I be talking about. That's one of them things that you got to go within, and you got to deal with your own shit
Right.
on that. You know what I'm saying? But you should study everything holistically, because when you're doing that, you're getting the full picture.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And it's important to have the full picture unless you want to consciously live
Right. Right.
biasly.
Right.
Because it confirms or helps the argument. You know, people like that, those are simply attention seekers, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those types.
Right. And that's the thing too, like within this community, we see a lot of people that are seeking attention over real tangible ideas of liberation, real self-work.
Right.
And so like sometimes you may see me like go at them. It's not out of it's always out of love, but one thing that I don't like is whenever I feel like people are using their platforms to purposely take from the people. That's 10% bloodsucker type thing.
Oh yeah,
right?
No doubt. We got a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a history of that with our people, man.
Right. And our people have been through so much already, you know what I'm saying? And that's another thing, right? So we have a lot of people now that the internet, everybody has the internet. We have information at the, on our phones, whatever, like wherever we are, we can pull up what we need to know, right?
Indeed.
People are searching, people are looking, and then you have people with big platforms that are taking advantage of sincere people who are looking. And then next thing you know, they've gone down this rabbit hole where it's like the lesson say, it's going to be hard for them to come back. You know what I'm saying? Easily led in the wrong direction, hard to be led in the right direction, right? And the reason they're hard to be led in the right direction is because most of the time they've been led in the wrong direction by somebody that has ill intentions.
That's right.
I think that's why I asked you about studying without any confirmation bias, and you gave the perfect answer. We should study everything holistically, because whenever we study everything holistically to understand, right, to take it through the mathematics to understand, we can't be fooled anymore. You know what I mean? Because we'll have a strong foundation. Also, and I'll tell you, I'll show you this. My brother Hero sent me this, and before I read it, right, you realize like it's a science to everything, right?
Right.
A lot of times people are out here freestyling, calling themselves free thinkers and this and that, but this book right here, critical thinking. There's a science to critical thinking. Like it's not something that you develop without studying, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, like those people, they're not necessarily wanting their flock to be critical thinkers, because then they'll begin to question them.
Of course, bro. I mean, that's the history of certain types of leadership within our communities historically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The more information you got, I mean, it happened to people. They got kicked out, moved to the side or whatever, because they begin to learn things.
Right.
And critical thinking is a science.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing about it is that when you learn how to think, because one thing about us, our people, honestly, brother, we haven't been thinkers for about 70 years.
What you think happened?
What happened is that indoctrination in a full effect. Remember, since the process of slavery and it became institutionalized in a sense, you got to remember there has been a constant conspiring effort to destroy our people.
Right.
Consistently. All the way through.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? People say, brother, you talk conspiracies, and it's like,
no, that's real.
No, there's conspiracies. It's just simply 1, 2, 3, or a group of people opposing, hating, preparing an agenda with the purpose of to destroy another group of people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's that's what it is. So when we think of these things, man, we just have to hold tight to what we know and what we understand, because there's going to come a time when all of that stuff is going to be challenged, and it's going to be applicable. I mean, for the thinkers, because critical thinking allows you to research, investigate, challenge, process, analyze, break down, deduce, you know what I'm saying, and restructure the thought, and restructure it in such a way where you can ask yourself other questions from the same thought.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. And then replay that and throw that process back to whoever is speaking. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, critical thinking is truly a science, and it's a learned science. Now you have cats who understand critical thinking, but they wouldn't know it's critical thinking because of the level that they're playing on with it. You know what I'm saying?
No, agreed.
Agreed. But we know a lot of things naturally.
Right.
It's within us naturally. You know what I mean? But we may not understand why we emulate certain things. For instance, I remember one day, man, I was in downtown, and I had a turban on. I was in all white turban, whole joint, white it out. Air Force One, just white it out, B. And slow youngster came up to me, man. Now mine, I'm tell you something. He laughing at me, right? He's like, yo, you look like one of the Taliban. So I'm looking at him and I'm laughing too, because you know what? He had a white T-shirt wrapped around his head.
Same thing.
and a long white tee on.
Right. Same thing, man.
I said, yo, why you wearing that? He said, no, we wear this all the time. I said, what? Why? But why you wearing it? He said, I don't know. This is what we do. I'm like, exactly. I know. So I know I know where your lineage, I know where your bloodline is. I know. I kind of know something about your blood in a sense.
Right.
Because cats who like Islam, like anybody that's a part of that paradigm, that science, it's from an early age. You see them. It's for every school of thought.
Yeah.
Like certain Hebrews, it just was in them. They just, you know what I'm saying? They studied other things, but this is what's in them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's the same thing with us. I studied many things, but this is what's in me.
Right.
It's Islam.
Right.
That's all I know. That's all I want to know.
Right. But
the science of Islam. See, the prophet knew it was a science, but he had to use the term religion because that was the time.
Right.
He used the word. He used the science of words in a very meticulous way. You know what I'm saying? Like there's the question number 1 in the Moorish questionnaire. In the Moorish questions, the 101s, it says, "Who made you?" The answer is Allah, right? But people say, well, how come, Noble Drew Ali didn't say who created you? This is how petty we are. Oh, he didn't use created. He didn't use created. So I'm like, you know what? But he did. If you read the Moorish Holy Quran, he talks about the creator. He talks about created fate. He talks about all. He uses that. I said, but he used the word "made" for a reason. Who made you? Allah is the answer. But he's talking to a particular people, because remember, this is 1913. Right.
And we were going through hell.
But what was the highest form of thought for Asiatics at that time? Esoteric thought.
I would say maybe Prince Hall Masonry.
Freemasonry.
Yeah.
What do they do in Masonry? They make you, don't they? So who made you? Not the worshipful master, not the Masonic Lodge. Allah made you. He was talking to a particular group of people when he even got on the platform. The first people who ran into the temple was Masons and all types of, you know what I mean? Who understood science. They seen the Fez. They you know what I'm saying? They understood certain things from little rituals.
Right.
Not knowing that unmarked Fez with the tassel swinging 360 degrees was way more ancient than that Fez with the tassel tied down to the left with print all over it.
Right.
One tassel, one Fez represents a free man. The other Fez represents a freed man.
What's the difference between a free man and a freed man?
A freed man is one who's obligated to his Mason lodge or his worshipful master because his tassel is tied down to the left. So he's a slave to an order. The tassel swinging freely, that's a free man without obligation. The only thing that he's tied to is Allah Ta'ala. Not tied to the order or the obligation or the rituals and the you know what I'm saying, and all of those things that denies the Most High.
When you've been, and whenever we think about esoteric thought and esoteric ideas or any form of mysticism, why, especially with the original people, why is symbolism so important?
Because that's something that's a part of our ancient traditions and cultures. We spoke with symbolism. Look at hieroglyphics. You understand what I'm saying? Those are signs and symbols. I mean, we've always, the Twa people, or what we call the Pygmies, they were the first ones to use signs and symbols and rites and so on and so forth. So symbolism has always been very, very important to us for communication with ancestors, communication on the regular level, warfare sciences, and all types of esoteric things as well. Also, the Asiatics in America became signs and symbols. Freemasonry, Hiram Abiff is the sign and symbol of the Asiatic man and woman in America who was buried in the North, who was hit in the head, who was knocked in the throat, and who was hit in the heart. Lost his knowledge of self, lost his language. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, hit 3 times and buried. You know what I'm saying? So that's the science of the original people or the original man, because Hiram Abiff was the master builder, and they wanted the secret. Right. To the temple, to the building of the temple. They wanted the rights. Right. So, he's the master builder.
Do you think whenever we learn, all right, so do you think sometimes certain concepts, when it's told symbolically, it helps us understand it better and more clear?
Yeah, I do, because symbolism is a transmission of information as well. For instance, if somebody hang up a noose in front of you, that noose, yeah, exactly, it has a whole history. There's a whole science that's not even written. You know what I'm saying? Just from looking at it, you know what I mean? You can just release all of this stuff. You see what I'm saying? And signs and symbols are very important. So, when we deal with the science of America, everything in America is signs and symbols. That's how they talk to each other, through sign and symbolism.
Washington, D.C. was designed symbolically. Matter of fact,
who designed it?
Wasn't it Brother Benjamin Banneker? Yeah. And also too, like if you go, like if you like in DC, like when you look at all the government buildings, I mean, they'll have it's super symbolic. It is like symbols everywhere.
Yeah. And the architecture is Asiatic architecture. It's Islamic architecture, man. The White House was a mosque. Look at the ball. Look at the top. If you go inside the White House, Bismillah is written right in the top of it.
Isn't Prophet Muhammad on the Department of Justice building?
Yeah, as the lawmaker. Yeah, one of the greatest lawmakers in the world. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it recognizes that he's on. Yeah, definitely, most definitely. So, I mean, Thomas Jefferson had a Quran. Right. It said that Thomas Jefferson was Muslim. You see what I'm saying? Which maybe explains why he had such a fetish for Asiatic women. You know what I'm saying? But who knows? But Islam was on these shores 7th, 8th century.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. I was reading a book, actually it's right here, Slave Religion, and it talks about what we brought over here, and if you weren't a practitioner of an African traditional religion, you were a Muslim. That's who was brought here. And speaking of, you kind of mentioned it earlier, I wanted to ask you, what is the difference between, or is there a difference of Islam and Islamism?
Well, they say that Islamism is just a political term for Islam, the westernized political term for Islam in its political form. But the Prophet didn't mean it as such. You know what I'm saying? Islamism is the practical application of peace, because Islam simply means peace. And our Islam is being at peace with all things, with everything around you, and nature, and you know what I'm saying? So, which is why I could do what I did with the weather. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm at peace. In other words, I'm in tune with everything that is in accord with me. You understand what I'm saying? The Moorish Holy Quran is not just it's just not a little 56-page book. That book has sciences in it and applications of sciences. You know what I'm saying? Chapter 1 is an incantation. It's an invocation. It's a whole ritual.
So would you say, like how back in the day, there were Sufi magic books, right? Would you say that the Circle 7 would fall into that category?
Yes, I would. Indeed. I would. Indeed. There's many jewels in that book, and you just have to have someone who's a master already, who understands those, who can show you those things. You know what I'm saying? Because the Holy Quran is full of magic too. People don't like these words, religious people to hear, oh my shaitan, and we ain't got nothing to do with none of that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That's the limited thought process that people have, because religion gives you a limitation on thinking.
Right.
Because it begins to think for you.
I used to kind of look at the word as being spooky until I started studying what these ancient people were really talking about. And there was in a lot of cases there were applied sciences, what scientists like medicinal, right? Like we look at hoodoo. A lot of people will say, oh man, that's spooky, right? Especially during, let's say during time of enslavement, black man, black woman looking at or having the knowledge of his surroundings as far as plant life in the area, and knows what the medicinal properties were. Like, we'll look at that, oh man, that's spooky. But those same pharmaceutical companies now, like, if you look at where aspirin comes from, it comes from a tree bark or something, right?
Bro, all of their stuff. All of their stuff comes from a natural. What they do is they get the natural joint, and what they do is they create a processized synthetic that does the same thing as the natural element, but they create a synthetic.
Right. That's exactly what they're doing.
And that's why, to keep you from nature, they just create a synthetic and give it a whole nother name, and don't tell you it's pine bark or it's pine needle. You know what I'm saying? Or that it's echinacea, or that it's dandelion root, or you know what I'm saying? That, you know what I mean? Because
they've even demonized that idea that, and look, I would never say that if you got a serious illness, you shouldn't go to a hospital, right? But at the same time, to deny that there's any substance to our holistic practices, that's not right. You know what I'm saying? Because we knew certain things.
Oh yeah.
Like look at our grandmothers.
Right.
They would give us stuff when we was younger. Like, you don't know what in the hell that was, but
indeed,
I mean, you start feeling better. You know what I'm saying?
Outside, my family's from Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up around a lot of that stuff, man. You know what I mean? And some of it was transmitted to me by my grandfather. A lot of times you have initiations too. I've been initiated. You know what I mean? I went through the lodge in '96 and left it 3 months later because I couldn't learn nothing in the Masonic lodge, man. If I would have went to a European lodge, I probably would be learning. I probably would learn a lot. But
why couldn't you? What was your issues whenever you were in the lodge?
The Asiatic lodge, man, all they wanted to do was have fish fries, bro, and swap wives, bro, and get drunk every Friday. That's all they did. They didn't even have a Masonic library.
Oh man!
Inside the joint, you know what I mean? You couldn't even go study. I was in there to learn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So 3 months later, I bounced, man. You know what I mean? So that was one of the best moves I ever made, man, was not staying there to learn, because there was nothing to learn. But I put myself in a lot of places to say that I was actually there, because one thing the 5% Nation taught me, and that I still carry, because I still love the 5% Nation, and what it taught me, 2 things in life it gave me. And I take these 2 things with me all through life from the age of 12 years old. Always show and prove and never take anything on face value.
Facts.
That right there, that'll take you along. That will make you the ultimate seeker, man.
Most definitely.
Them two principles.
Yeah,
makes you the ultimate seeker, man.
Most definitely, God. And you dropped the jewel on that one. That's right and exact. When it comes to the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, as a 5%er, when I see this 7, you already know what I see, right? I see God, and then the cipher around it.
That's right.
What is the breakdown of that?
The seven is the perfected man, the God man. That's what the 7 is. The 4 gates represent many things. The 4 gates represent the ethers, or represents the 4 cosmic principles of cosmic creation: air, fire, water, earth. You know what I'm saying? And man being the ether, or the 5th principle, the perfected man. It also represents north, south, east, west. It also represents the science of the heart in the 4 gates of the heart, because the heart is the closest place where we can meet Allah Ta'ala. But we also know that the heart is a makam. There's also a spiritual seat that sits on the heart as well. You understand what I'm saying? So the 4 principles, not the 4 principles, but the 4 gates, you know what I'm saying? They have meanings too. They also mean Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
North, south, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they have numerous meanings. You know what I mean? Numerous breakdowns. But the 7 is the perfected man, or the logos.
And so within it, right? And you mentioned Buddha and Confucius. I have a good friend who is he's Buddhist, and me and him talk a lot about the principles, such as like and he was on the show. He's coming back soon. We're going to build some more on it, but the science of enlightenment and detachment, and some of the tenets of Buddhism. Noble Drew Ali seems to be influenced by Eastern philosophy as well. Would you say so?
No question. See, people say, well, brother, he plagiarized. I say, you know what? So you have to be careful. This is, again, where our people use words out of context and using them improperly. Hold up that Quran. What does it say? Does it say authored? What does it say? Does it say authored by Noble Drew Ali?
It says divinely prepared.
Right. See, authoring, he didn't claim to be the author. So for it to be prepared or divinely prepared means that he's using sources.
Right.
He's preparing it from something. He's telling you it's prepared. So I'm taking it from things. So when you open it up and you read, and he tells you that these secrets were not let loose until the Muslims of India, Palestine, and Egypt let these secrets loose, then they were given to the world. So he's telling you where they came from.
Right. Right.
Levi Dowling in the Aquarian Gospel, Levi Dowling got that from somewhere. He got that from the Rosicrucians. The science of the science of Saint Esau. Friedrich Nietzsche wrote the book. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying. So
he was pulling too. He was Levi, like, because a lot of times I remember, like, when people would come at the Moors, sometimes they would act as if Levi he got that on his own.
Yeah, he never got it on his own. And the prophet told you where he got it from. You know what I mean? And the prophet told you where it came from when he mentioned Egypt.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it came from Amin Iyab. And it came from Tibet. Because it was sealed in Tibet. You understand what I'm saying? The story of Esau, Saint Esau. You know what I mean? That was his name in those scriptures. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Yeah, so the prophet prepared our book from unto thee I grant. He used some things from that. He used some things from Saint Esau, or the story of Esau. He used some things from, and it was another joint, I can't remember. But he did prepare. He did pull from other sources. Because you know why, brother? Because truth don't change or pass away.
Facts. Right.
No matter where it come from.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
as far as, all right, yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you. I know we've been building, but I definitely wanted to ask you this, God, and so when the prophet returned to the essence, um, there was a split, correct?
Yep. It was a split.
Who were what were the factions that split? Like, because for those that don't know, obviously when Prophet Noble Drew Ali returned to the essence, um, just like all organizations, it can cause
Conflict.
yeah. I mean, we saw this happen with the Nation of Islam when Elijah Muhammad returned to the essence.
Mm-hmm.
It's we can say it's part of human nature a little bit, but at the same time, because I remember seeing seeing things from CM Bay that seemed like that was more astrology. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Stephen Bay was a member of the temple. He got removed in back in the early days. He got removed because of the things that he was demonstrating, that he was teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But then he came back later on and formulated the clock of destiny,
Mm-hmm.
mothers and sons, and so on and so forth. And in his book, Clock of Destiny 1, if I'm not mistaken, on page, it's either page 6 or it's page 9, where he says, I reject all isms,
Oh
including
wow.
including my own religion, Islamism.
Wow.
So
He said that in the Clock of Destiny?
yeah, so that separates him from the prophet. That separates him from us, period.
Okay. Now the other person that I would, so when the prophet returned, C. Kirkman Bay, right?
Yeah.
And who was the who was the other who was the who all right, so before we get into C. Kirkman Bay, who was rightfully the person that was going to
the prophet picked a brother named Edward Mealy Ill to be the Supreme Grand Sheik.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That was his pick.
Mm-hmm.
When he transformed, they had already had a coup d'etat already going on while the prophet was living.
Right.
They was trying, you know what I'm saying? They was trying to take over the movement. Julian Rosenwald, the Jew dude, you know what I'm saying, with Claude Green and some other Moors. They was trying to take the movement over. Just trying to
while the prophet was living?
Yeah, while he was living. Yes, yeah, while he was living as well. Mm-hmm. So Kirkman Bay had a secret meeting and they voted him as the head, and he changed everything, changed the constitution, he was just a traitor, man. But if you want to see the full breakdown, the full history, there's a brother named Taharka Bey, and he did the incredible breakdown.
Right.
Incredible. With the receipts, brother. I mean, it's incredible, man.
I know he's when it comes to Moorish history, I already know Taharka.
He called me all the time. He always asked me, should I, because I told him to keep his scimitar bloody. Yeah. Years back. So he keep asking me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
should I put the scimitar up? I'm like, nah, bro. It ain't bloody enough.
I'm not going to mention the name that he's going at right now, but the person that he's going at now definitely deserved it, because he's a grifter.
Yeah, he's going to chop him down. See,
and he don't care about the people.
No, he don't. Brother Taharka Bey care about people, man. He care about Asiatic people. He care about the condition. He care about liberation, all that. You know what I'm saying? And his thing is, we can all work together. Just come in truth. Don't come trying to grift, lies, cheat, steal from your people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we can't have that. You get
no doubt.
Quick. So the thing about C. Kirkman Bay, though, he changed some of the doctrine, because it still sounds like what Wardeen did when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad returned. It went from being studying 120 and studying the messenger's words to be
Orthodox Islam.
Yeah.
He tried in his last days, he tried to begin to teach the messenger's teachings again. He knew his father was right.
Right,
You
right.
know, you know what I'm saying? What he was, hold on, brother, excuse me.
All right, here we go.
This
All right, so
meeting is being
yeah,
recorded.
so what were some of the things that you said C. Kirkman Bay changed?
Well, he changed up the code, the garb. He started adding things Masonic. He brought in capes. You know what I'm saying? He changed up the Constitution. He removed one Constitution and took another one down and removed the original Constitution and put another one. He did a lot of things, man. Just you know, just to trade it. There was another gentleman named John Givens Ill. You know what I'm saying? They called him the reincarnated prophet. So you know, there was a split.
Right. Right. Yeah, I was just curious because I you know, that's because I know obviously I know the story of what happened with the NOI.
Right.
But it seems
there's
that
also
is similar to more
it's
science.
it's very similar. Even the story of Prophet Muhammad is very similar to the story of Noble Drew Ali. He said three generations after me won't be of me. And he was talking about the split through the caliphs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Same way with the prophet. It was 3 generations.
Right.
You know, 3 generations was formed off of, you know what I'm saying? And then you got to remember, there was a man named Robert Poole and John Poole and Clara Poole and James Poole. And they all became bays. And they Robert Poole Bay and Clara Poole Bay later on went off and formed something else. And Robert Poole Bay took on another name.
I know a lot of people say that didn't happen.
Detroit 1925, Temple number 4, Detroit, Michigan, 1925. Adept list, 25 cents each on the adept list. That was the monthly rate for the adepts. They paid 25 cents a month. All 4 of their names is on the adept list in Detroit.
Speaking of adept, I used to see somebody online. I don't think this couldn't be right and exact to sell this, but they were selling the red book, the adept book online, like that's not right and exact according to the more science and the rites of passage that you have to
right. You shouldn't be. Yeah, that book, that's a ritual book. It's like you know what I'm saying? But actually that book actually didn't come from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That's a Kirkman Bay demonstration.
Okay. When you know, even though we are having a conversation about you know, more science temple, Islam, you know, we've obviously had builds on things that are pertaining to our condition as a people, and what we need to do in order to you know, elevate out of that. Whenever it comes to the so-called quote unquote conscious community, a lot of it has become a debate on did Jesus exist, or was the ancient, or what was ancient Egypt versus the Hebrews? Like, what are your thoughts on that aspect of the conscious community? Because for me, it seems like we was doing that 10 years ago. Like, why are we still, even if we were going to have a debate, like I felt like the debate should be more geared to some type of, not a religious debate, but a debate on an ideology that has the potential of helping to liberate us. Solutions, debate solutions. But what's your thought on that, though?
Well, you know, for centuries, I mean, you know, we've been doing this for a couple hundred years, having these same old debates, religion. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, why? Because we're not all the same people. You know what I'm saying? And we're thriving, and we're you know what I mean? We're in a space, and that space works.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I want other people to come into the space that works. You should have this space too, because it could work for you too. Right. And in the process, you may have something that's already working for you. So here comes the conflict, 2 opposing forces clashing. You understand what I mean? And it's going to always happen. But with us, it's more about, to me, I call it intellectual masturbation, bro. Yeah. You just want to see who's the smartest, who got the, you know what I mean? And that's a waste of time when we could be spending that time productively finding solutions. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Sitting down at the table, creating solutions for our situations, because we all know what the problem is in our communities. We all know what the problems are. You see what I mean? But maybe some of us benefit from the problems. Some of us maybe need the problems to exist so we can continue the rhetoric that we use and that we continue to demonstrate, because it's easy, because these problems exist. So I can talk about this, and in the process of talking about it, I'm making it continue to persist by talking about it.
Right.
So that solution doesn't work. That's not viable. You know what I'm saying? So what we do is we don't talk about the problems, we talk about the solutions. You know what I'm saying? So here's what we're going to do for such and such. We're talking about poverty. Well, we don't have to talk about poverty. We can talk about economics and how to build economics, how to become entrepreneurial and so on. We don't even have to mention the word poverty again.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's dealing with the people in the train of thinking, where it's where they are at the moment. And then you personally have to meet people where they are, so you can bring them up to where you are, to bring them or to take them somewhere else. You got to meet them where they are first, to see if you can deal with them, and if they're open for new ideas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because some people definitely
so
aren't. And we've seen that, brother. Some people definitely aren't
Of course
open
not.
to hit anything new.
It's not conducive for them.
Right.
It's not in that moment of time. It's not conducive, because they're benefiting somehow from that situation. I talked about it earlier today. You know, the cognitive dissonance, when a person consciously denies the truth, consciously, when they know it's the truth, but they deny it consciously,
right?
Because there's a gain, you know, there's a benefit for them in the denial,
right?
And we see that all day. We see it through sports, entertainment, athlete. We see it. You know what I'm saying? Celebrities shouldn't be entertainers, and celebrities shouldn't be politicians, and shouldn't be trying to give any advice to our people.
Right. Oh no, definitely. Because like how we were talking before, during the days of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, when they were getting politicians elected, it's a totally different day now, because we
the influence.
Yeah, we don't have that much influence over these politicians once they get in anymore. Back then, we could hold, we had a, we could kind of hold people accountable a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Today it's a different beast. I believe that separation is key. I believe that integration was the worst thing that happened to us, and I believe that if we really wanted to do something, it will begin by, first of all, for me, revolution is physical, it's spiritual, it's mental. You know what I'm saying? Combat is always constant and internal. We're always at combat. If we're not at combat with external factors, we're at combat with self.
Right.
Decisions. And we're always we're always at combat. You know what I'm saying? Like always. We're always in combative mode. You know what I'm saying? And I call it stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Because you have to, everything, if you understand, every facet of your life as an Asiatic being is going to be attacked in some form or another.
Right.
And, you know what I'm saying? Your community, you know what I mean? Pop, whatever. It's going to, you're going to have obstacles. But if you understand that the obstacles are just an obstacle, and that they are just illusions that you can crush, you're going to be all right. But who's there to give? Who's there to tell and show how these obstacles are illusions? And what is an illusion? And how do we identify what an illusion is? You understand what I mean? So we got lessons to teach.
Right.
It's a lot of lessons to teach.
Right.
But who's going to teach these lessons and give the application of how to make these work, how to make these powers or these skill sets, or how to become an adept master at your own you? Right. Because you're magical. You know what I'm saying? This is what we don't understand. We magic, bro.
Right. Oh yeah, facts.
We magic, man. You know what I'm saying? Right. We just don't believe in our own selves no more, because we got somebody else telling us that we niggas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That we are types of other things.
Right.
And we become comfortable in becoming these things. And what we don't understand is that that's sorcery. When a person can give you a title or give you a label and you wear it, you've taken the intent of what that label was created out of. Right. From that other source.
Right.
So now you're taking on a frequency. So of course you're other than yourself. They just worked this fucking spell on you. What do you expect? And you voluntarily accepted the spell.
It seems like we are, in a lot of cases, voluntarily accept a lot of things from them these days. One thing that I saw, but I will say this though, our youth, they got a fighting spirit, man.
Oh yeah, but so do we.
Yeah, so do we. So do we.
So do we.
I wanted to ask you. I saw an article yesterday or the day before. It was at a University of Seton Hall where Black students were protesting because I guess Seton Hall was, getting ready to get rid of their Africana Studies program. We see, especially in the South, all of these book bans and DeSantis in Florida and here in North Carolina. It's just a lot going on, right? With that said, though, it's funny because I've seen people say, or I've seen people within our conscious community act as if studying our history is not that important. But if studying our history was not that important, why are they hell-bent on keeping our youth from studying it at an academic level?
Because they're scared that the sins of the father may come back to haunt the children. The same way heroin has come back to haunt them. See, in the 70s, the heroin epidemic was killing us. It destroyed us. And when we tried to get intervention from the government, they said, no, it's an urban problem. Leave it right where it is. Right. So now look, you see what I'm saying? So it's the same situation in a sense. They have a spiritual guilt. They have an ancestral guilt. You know what I'm saying? They don't want their children to know history because in the history, it's ugly. Their ancestors look very, very bad in the history. It just is what it is. But it's authentic history. Bro, I don't believe in erasing history. I don't believe you should knock down the statue of Robert E. Lee. That's history. Right. Why would you erase that so later on they can create another narrative that slavery didn't even exist? You got to keep the landmarks, brother. Right. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't a fight. Oh, we got to knock down the statue of Columbus. No, you don't. You have to. Because it's a science behind that. That's a revelation. That's a revealing of a truth. When I call you a devil, I can prove it. Right. Teach. And you narcissistic on top of it. You see what I'm saying? I can prove it. So I don't want them to remove historical landmarks. Right. Don't remove that stuff. Right. Because if they remove those things, eventually they're going to remove you. And that's funny that you said that, G, is because they are, it's like in Texas, I forgot what county was doing that, but their textbooks, their new textbooks, the way they were framing slavery, it was like some type of like this was our job, like we were working type of thing. They made it nice. The slave masters nice and all that. He gave him a pay and all this stuff. But see, the beautiful thing is they can do that if they choose. Because people like you, people like me, we can rebuttal those things easily. That's easy work. Facts. That ain't even nothing to be upset about. What do you expect somebody to do in war? Right. Yeah, they're always going to give propaganda to make their side seem. Of course. So all we have to do is tell the truth. Right. Because they don't. Tell the truth and shame the devil. That's it. It's really simple. We make it so hard because we're looking for fame. We're looking for fame. We're looking to be, I don't know, the exalted one of the community. You know what I'm saying? That leads us to the promised land type. You want to enslave your own people to your ideologies. You know what I'm saying? We still got the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, be careful because your own brother will put you back in slavery. Facts. That's like even with the show, brother, is I've built with people from all ideologies. As you should. Everybody has something to add on. We shouldn't be dismissive of someone else, even if their ideology is slightly or even a lot different from ours, as long as it's not destructive to self and the community, there's always something to learn, right? And I think sometimes a lot of people have gotten into the
the idea and the mind state that, okay, well, if such and such is a Pan-African and such over here is in the Nation of Islam, then it's a versus. Nah,
bro, it don't have to be that.
Nah, it don't have to be that. Whenever we are debating a lot of these frivolous things, I think that's what the audience gets settled into, and that's how they begin to see it. And it's crazy, like whenever you go out amongst the people, though, and I know you know this because you've been doing this, you've traveled.
Indeed, facts.
I would meet brothers at events that of all different ideologies, and it'd be a brotherhood. Like nobody's tripping on any type of differences. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was original people getting together for one common cause. It ain't hard to do.
It's not, bro. When you got authentic knowledge of self, see, you have authentic knowledge of self, and then you have cats who dabble with knowledge of self.
Right.
It's a total difference.
Totally different.
Those who are authentically inclined and engulfed and embody the knowledge of themselves, they're at peace. They're firm in their walk. Their foundation can't be shook.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're stabilized.
Right.
Because they've moved beyond belief. See, when you move beyond the science of belief, because you can't prove a belief is absence of truth or fact.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? You can't prove a belief. So man must take the beliefs that he has, and if he can prove them and make them an actual fact, then it's no longer a belief and you add it to your life. But if you can't make that belief an actual fact, you throw the shit in the garbage.
Facts.
So we live in reality, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Hold on one second, brother. Sure.
Okay. Well, yeah, and indeed, God, no, that's the science. One last thing I wanted to ask you.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to being like, when we use the word prophet in an Islamic context, us as original people, especially in the wilderness in North America, we don't have any issues with that. And in most cases, right? In this community, we don't have any issues with someone that has come with a message as them, calling them a messenger or a prophet. We don't, but the larger Islamic world, all right, so I guess here's what I want to ask.
How do they take it? I can give you a perfect example, brother. I lived in South Africa, man, for like almost 4 years.
Wow.
And while I was over there, I'm who I am. And so I spent a lot of time in the Jama'ats, and I spent a lot of time messing around with the Muslims over there, the Sunnis. And they knew where I was from. They knew I was from America, so on and so forth. So they would ask me a lot of questions about Islam. And one day they asked me, how do you feel about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And I said Prophet Muhammad was a prophet. I said, but he's not my prophet. I said, I give him honors. I said, but he's not my prophet. I said, because every nation gets their own messenger, gets their own prophet. You know what I'm saying? Speaking the language of that nation and making the message clear according to the Quran.
Right.
So now I'm talking from their book.
Right.
So if you know what I mean? So, so he looked at me. I said, yeah, Noble Drew Ali spoke English. He was born in North Carolina. He was born amongst the people that he was sent to redeem, as all prophets were. I said, now, if Prophet Muhammad would have came to our people in North America in 1913 or whatever, at that time speaking Arabic, we may have robbed him and killed him. We may have done, you know what I mean? We wouldn't know what the hell he was talking about.
Right.
We may have took offense to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you say, nigga? You know what I'm saying? Right. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know. You know what I mean? So that's why it was prophetic in a sense because it's Quranically sound as well. Speaking the language. You know what I'm saying? every nation gets one, but Allah created nations and tribes. So he came back to tell us what nationality we were, because we're not black, colors, and Negroes or Ethiopians, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So, in the Islamic world, so I'm dealing with them. So the brother said, well, that's very interesting that you would claim this man is a prophet, when you know as a Muslim that Prophet Muhammad is the seal of the prophet. He's the last and final prophet. I said, no, he's not. Prove it. He said, what you mean? I said, show me.
Does it even say that in the Quran?
It mentions that in the Arabic, in the Arabic, but it doesn't say akir. It says khatam. Khatam means it means seal. It means appointed seal. It means, you know what I'm saying? It means marking, appointed seal, right? But what they don't understand, this is where I smashed them. I said, Prophet Muhammad is the last prophet, but he's not the last prophet of all time. I said, he's the last prophet of an age of time. He's the last prophet of the age of Pisces. He is the last prophet of the age of Pisces.
Right.
And Noble Drew Ali is the last prophet in these days and times in the age of Aquarius, because the prophet told you this is a new era of time. You knew what he was saying. This is a new era, a new age of time. This is no longer the Piscean age. This is the age of Aquarius.
And what sense would it make if it's people stop, if like there was nobody ever to come again for 1400 years with a message for the people?
It wouldn't make sense, because see, that's man trying to circumscribe Allah Ta'ala, trying to put hedges and boundaries on Allah Ta'ala. Like when the Imam say, brother, you must follow the will of Allah. And I'm like, brother, what's the will of Allah? When did Allah tell you his will? When are you able to deal with, give me the infinite will of the infinite omnipotent creator? I know, I'm in tune with my omnipotent creator. You know what I'm saying? So tell me what his will is. The reality is that the will of Allah Ta'ala isn't the will of Allah, it's the will of the Imam. It's just like it's the will of the preacher. When the preacher says you got to do the will of God, it's his ideas that he throws out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's why they don't want you to be smarter than them. That's why they don't want you to study, because they always run into okie doke, fam. Right. This is what they do.
Right. It's crazy, because anytime, like, it's a red flag if any quote unquote religious leader, no matter what the religion is, gets upset whenever you question certain things and have like certain ideas as far as, what he's teaching. Like, that shouldn't, a question should lead to an answer and understanding. But if it makes somebody angry, a lot of times it's because they're being deceitful purposefully. You know what I mean?
Indeed. And let me give you another demonstration. So we sit in the Jama'at, and we're sitting in a circle. Now this is a Sufi mosque. Most of the Muslims in South Africa, and I was in Durban at this particular time, that's predominantly Sufi.
Okay.
Sufi, Sunni Sufis and all this other stuff, but mostly Sufi. So we sit in the joint, and one of the Malana is like a word for like a teacher, like a high teacher. There was some Malanas there was some Alims there, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm sitting with them. So they talking about Surah 2, Al-Baqarah, and they're talking about Iblis, Shaitan, and they're talking about Adam in the creation. So I'm just listening to them. The conversation was so dogmatic, so spooky. I was just like, damn, man, like, damn.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, man. It's like, in Iblis he rebelled, and he did this and he did that, and it was mysteriously he rebelled.
You got to draw that up, man.
Yeah, I did. Fam. I'm sitting there and I'm listening, and I said, I threw my hand, put it to my heart, threw my hand up, put it to my heart. So listen, I said, I'd like to intervene. I said, I'd like to share some of my thoughts as well. So they said, sure, brother, sure, go ahead, brother. Just like, he introduced, this is Brother Abdul Ali from New York. He's from New York. He's visiting. So I'm sitting there. I said, well, the conversation is about Allah, Adam, and Iblis. I said, we seem to be having a problem in this conversation in regards to why Iblis was able to rebel. Why did he rebel? You know what I mean? They were like, well, you know, he just knew that it was his time. I said, well, why didn't I said, but why did he wait to if he was to rebel, he would have rebelled from Gideon. By what the Quran is saying. Okay, brother. So what's your point? My point is this: Allah told Adam to name everything, including the angels. If you understand the science of a name having a nature, then you will understand why Iblis rebelled after he was told his name. I just shut up and looked. I just shut up and looked at him.
Wow.
This the look I gave
him. Yeah. Indeed.
Yep.
Now that's definitely a jewel to leave on the people, man. Sheik Denamel, you know what I'm saying? My brother, I definitely appreciate all the jewels.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And you know, obviously we can definitely run this back because there's a lot more that I want to
we can we can do this for weeks.
Right, facts.
I mean, for years actually, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, anytime, brother, please feel free. I hope if anybody watched, I hope they enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? If you got any questions, anybody got any questions in regards. Also, I got a joint coming I want to show you right quick. One of the books, one of my joints right here. It'll be coming out.
Okay, hear me now.
Yeah, in about a week or so to be dropped. But I've also written. Here's the other book that I've written on the back of it. I've written other books as well. But we were talking about those things because I'm an author too, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. I know, and I wanted to. And I'm sorry for not getting into that, G. We just got the building, and you know
all is well, brother. No problem.
But yeah, so just send me the link. And I'm gonna post it in the description. But yeah, next time we'll definitely get into the books as well, and then we'll go from there.
And we can also at a later date we can also get into some applications of some breathing, some other things I can, you know what I'm saying, some science, you know what I'm saying, just some things that you could do, you know what I'm saying, to build up your own, build up your own self.
Perfect. That'd be perfect because that's like how we were talking before, application. And so.
Got to do the science, man. Because eventually, I want to open up one thing I want to do before we leave. I eventually want to open up a seminary where I'm teaching these sciences, man.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You should, because you got it. You know what I'm saying?
And inshallah. We're gonna see how the universe. We're gonna see where Allah leads me, how this work, man. Because it's here. It's just got to be put together because I got about 20 more books in me too. You know what I mean? So I don't between the books and man. I got it's a lot that's in me. I don't get it all out just like this.
Yeah, of course.
Doing this stuff. This is just a little bit. Now I gotta go sit down. I gotta write too. Right? I gotta type. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. That's the beauty of knowing your purpose.
Exactly. Exactly, brother.
And
exactly.
I definitely salute you for that because so many people they don't take the time to find what that is for themselves, and like we talked about what knowledge of self truly is, like that's part of it to me, is what is going to be, and your purpose can change, but at least allow yourself to have that, right? Because that's what gives our lives meaning. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. And we're gonna leave on this note, man. Check this out. This is a saying from a wise man. It came from a wise place. A man's ideas are his God. And as a man's ideas unfold, his God unfolds. And man's God or man's ideas are not man's gods tomorrow. So in other words, we grow.
Yeah, that's
the
deep.
Things you believe right now, we may not believe it 5 years from now because we may have grown to a higher understanding and you have a higher understanding of that.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So the ideas become man's God. And sometimes we can become enslaved by other man's ideas or other false gods.
Facts. Or even enslaved by our own ideas.
That's it. Because sometimes too much thought can become a form of worship.
Facts. Facts. Peace to the God, man. I appreciate you.
It's a pleasure, brother. May Allah continue to bless you, man. The law, and remember, you know where Allah is, right? Because he ain't up there nowhere.
What is the circle 7 say? In the heart. That's what Sheikh Sufi said to me as well.
Boom. And you got a couple hearts in you. Because the gut area is a heart. And it's a psychic center as well.
Yeah,
that's
it's like a mind too.
We gotta hang it up, man. All right, man.
Peace to the God.